Impromptu Speaking. All right, impromptu speaking, where you get 1 minute to think and 2 minutes to speak. So let me give you your subject options.
Without books, the development of civilization would have been impossible. By books, we mean any written documentation. Humans invented written language probably a couple thousand years before Christ. And because of that, humans were able to archive knowledge and transfer knowledge to future generations. So that meant that ideas like mathematics could be continuously built upon by succeeding generations of humans. Animals do not have written language as far as we know, and therefore animal civilizations have been generally stunted at pre-Stone Age levels. The printing press invented by Gutenberg in the 1400s has accelerated the development of civilization because now things like mathematical ideas upon which most of our science is based, these ideas could now be shared throughout the known civilization, and therefore Asian civilizations could benefit from, African civilizations' knowledges. One of the biggest, there was a country in the African city of Benin was a huge marketplace for books in the, I think, 1400s. And that facilitated a lot of knowledge transfer. The civilizations who did not have recorded documentation, they have all but been forgotten to the mysteries of time.
All right, well timed out. I love collecting my insights. And for years, I thought, what am I going to do with these insights? Am I supposed to write some poems? So for years, I thought maybe I should write a book and find a way of amalgamating all these insights into a story and letting the knowledge. But then I thought, that's a huge undertaking to write a book. And if I'm lucky, it'd get published. And then if I'm lucky, more than 10 people will read my book. And so instead of doing that, why not start a podcast where I can talk? This was my natural way of expression, and have thousands of people listen to me without the need for publishing.
I'd like to talk about something that I learned about recently, and it's in the field of music publishing. So every time an artist or a musician publishes a song, there's an ID that's assigned to it, sort of like like those book numbers, the ISBN numbers, or the not like Dewey Decimal System. So and those numbers are registered to sort of an international sort of archive of the music that's being published. So it turns out that 50% of all the music that has ever been published in this way, 50% of that music has been published in the last 2 years.
Huh.
So there has been an beyond exponential, like orders of magnitude worth of publishing done in the music industry because it's so easy for individuals to publish.
Right.
So
right.
As a consequence of all that much more music being published, the consequence is that nobody's listening to it.
Right.
Because there's just way too much of the new music is
So you're
very.
saying like the traditional publishing a book gave it kind of a veneer of credibility that people knew if it's in a book, it's got to be worth buying or listening to or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, there's solid benefits to tangible, touchable, physical recordings.
Okay. Well, I remember you actually. I've gifted you a book in the past from my favorite author, John Steinbeck. Do you remember that book?
East of Eden.
East of Eden. Did you read it?
Of course, it was that was I was stunned. I really
Isn't it
was.
great? And you gave me a wonderful book, which from your genre of choice, which is sci-fi, and you gave me a book called Red Moon,
Oh, Red Mars,
Red
the
Mars.
trilogy by Kim Stanley Robinson. Red
And
Mars,
I'm still
Blue
waiting
Mars,
for
Green
Blue
Mars.
Mars and Green Mars, but I would like to read all of it. But Red Mars I found fascinating. I don't read much sci-fi, but it was the blueprint for what Mars colonization will look like and how's that it's going to go down.
Yes, and not just sort of establishing the world and terraforming it, but also the social changes and the social groups that appear and um,
Which as far as I can see, like the book I gave you was kind of a spiritual classic literature. The book you gave me was sci-fi, and as far as I can see, the sci-fi genre is the one that's predicting the future. That's the one that is the blueprint for the future, and that are the agents of change and so on. So I think that's very true. After reading Red Mars, I realized, oh, so a lot of the innovations in the world are just sort of following what some artist or creator thought of in the past, and then some scientist developed later.
well, scientists need to be inspired. I mean, they can be inspired by books, stories, music.